Hello everybody, and welcome back to a new episode of Yap Sesh. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about probably one of the most important things that I've ever had to learn as a DM, and that is communication. You see, I'm familiar with Dungeons & Dragons online space, and I've learned one common thing, and it's that almost every player issue and DM issue, and I've noticed one consistent solution to a lot of these problems, and that is good communication with your players. Having good communication with your players is one of the most important things you can do as a DM. It's more important than your world. It's more important than your characters and your story, surprisingly. Because if you have a good communication network with your players, if they're your friends, if they're people that you're helping online, if you can talk to them and they can talk to you, then right there, you'll have a campaign that'll last upwards to 3 years. The reason why I'm even bringing this up is because this video was originally going to be titled How to Deal with Murder Hobos and Spotlight Thieves. And while trying to come up with a solution for both of these problems, I discovered, and what I'm going to teach you guys today, is that communication is the most common way to solve these things. You see, murder hobos, spotlight hogs, all of the assortment, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, just have a different perception of how they want the game to go down. You know, sometimes rules lawyers, they prefer the game to be set in stone. They prefer a game that is more singular, sometimes even less focused. And murder hobos, they prefer a game that's more open, that allows more opportunity. They don't really care for a story. And I realized when thinking about these two problems, wait a minute, you could just talk with them. You could just talk with your players. Because if you have a murder hobo who's never really played D&D before, it's probably because they don't understand the game the way you play it. You see, as a DM, we all play the game differently. We all DM the game differently. Even if you're reading from a pre-made adventure, you're going to be making it slightly more different than the person who read it before you, because we're all individual and different people. And D&D is a role-playing game first and foremost. It is a game about crafting and creating stories, creating legends amongst your friends, playing these epic adventures, tales with heroes and legends. You see, being a murder hobo, being a rules lawyer, being a spotlight hog, these are terminology that is used to demean these people in our community. When in reality, they're people, they're players just like us. We should really be seeing these character traits as things to talk about, things to understand, right? Because somebody who's a murder hobo just sees the game differently than you do. And with good communication, I have seen personally that you can resolve these issues. You can talk to your players directly if you create and facilitate an environment to do so. And if you do, you can resolve your problems by telling them what you want for a story and what you would like for your players to do as well. Dungeon masters should not be afraid of telling their players exactly what they want. Don't spoil the story, but tell them what you expect, your expectations. And then of course ask your players, if they're comfortable, to give those expectations back. You're going to be flying this path of storytelling with a co-pilot and an engineer. Your players are helping you build the story as well. And even if you're the type of DM to micromanage and create very specific situations, you should totally tell your players that. Tell them what you want their expectations to be from you. It's a cooperation game. Now, this won't solve every problem, but I know for sure that it solved a lot of mine. You see, in the horror stories that I read online, that is around 10% of the things you'll be able to encounter when playing this game. And as somebody who used to play with a lot of people and with groups spanning different ages, different schools, I've learned if you communicate your intention, it's a very mature way of solving a problem that didn't even have to happen. Now, if you're dealing with problem players, people who even with communication are being a-holes, then that comes the time to make the decision. Do you ask the player to leave? I also think that DMs should not be afraid to do so. Because if there is not a connection between each other, then the DM and the player are just not right for each other. And I've seen that happen even within my personal groups. But sometimes moving on and learning and communicating can lead to resolutions that don't have to intend with a departure or a crumbling of a campaign. This is a very serious topic. I have had many D&D groups that have fallen apart, especially my personal group, that have fallen apart because of player problems. Don't let Dungeons and Dragons be the thing that rips your friend group apart, because it's just not cool and it will make you sour the game. And I know this coming from me. I've felt this. I've had problems within my friend groups, within my players, that have caused me as a DM to really consider if I should keep playing this game and if it's worth it. But if you take the time to listen to your players, and if you as a player take the time to listen to your DM, you can facilitate something that will become legendary. I hope you guys enjoyed this quick episode of Yap Sesh. It's pretty serious. I just did an eye doctor appointment, so I just wanted to get one done quickly for the week because I'm going blind, having my eyes dilated. I'm going to go see if I can capture my dog and show my dog to the camera for a good thumbnail.